Lauren Spear, and I'm the founder of HorrorFam.com, and you're listening to the HorrorFam.com podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking with Wayne Clingman, and he is a very interesting fellow. I met him back in 2012, and he's got a lot going on, this guy. He's a published author. He had his own podcast. That's how I met him back in 2012. He is a news hound. He lives in a 115-year-old house. He's a horror movie fan. He's running 2 film festivals right now, one of which is a horror and sci-fi film festival. And, this guy never ceases to amaze me with how busy he is, and I'm so excited to get to talk to him. Hello, Wayne. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, ma'am. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well. It's so good to hear your voice again. It's been a while.
Pleasure's mine. And unlike the first time we met, the world was not going to end.
Yes. When we first spoke was on December 21st, 2012, which was supposedly the end of the world. And we celebrated the end of the world together, and that was, this terrible foreboding day, right? And this episode of the podcast is going to be going up on Friday the 13th. So we're having another foreboding date of conversation here.
Absolutely. Those can be the best kind.
Yeah, I mean, your podcast was the first podcast I was ever a guest on, and you're the first outside guest who doesn't live within my own home that's on the HorrorFam.com podcast. It seemed only fitting.
I very much appreciate the opportunity.
And, man, I mentioned some of the things you've done over the years in the intro, but you've also dabbled in acting a little bit yourself in a few indie films.
Yeah, in fact, the film I was in as Dr. Dan, Petty Cash, made it into distribution. You could have watched it at one time on Amazon Prime for around a year. I also played one of the talking heads for my Mafia movie, and I'm going to mispronounce this guy's name horribly. Forgive me. So let's just call him the last most powerful Godfather of Milwaukee, which is, of course, the name of my book as well. So if you're interested in the Mafia, simply look up Godfathers of Milwaukee, and you can find my book on Frank. It's on Amazon, and also you can get the audio book as well.
Yes, you have several books on Amazon now, actually.
I do.
And some of them are advertised on our site. You bought a few sidebar ads for your books and helped support HorrorFam.com when we were getting rolling, and got Dark Minds, which is about serial killers.
Yep.
Yes, and you got Narco Saints, which
Yep.
is, and
Narco Saints, which is about a DEA agent hooking up with a cartel killer who joined forces to get the guy that makes Jerry Epstein look like a Boy Scout troop leader.
Yeah, and then you've got Bones Beneath the Pale, which is kind of a Lovecraft-inspired.
Yep, body horror, Nazi insects, crazy stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've just got so much stuff going on with all the Milwaukee Mafia aspects.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. I was just, you're a history buff. You're really into going really deep into the topics you're interested in.
Absolutely. One thing I can say, if I can say this to the audience, I'm an old person. I'm a boomer, right? Don't wait to get my age. Don't wait to get later in life to do something. If you're going to do something, do it when you're young. Yeah, I mean, obviously, to write the book and the like, so technology had to exist. Kindle had to exist. Kindle Direct Print had to exist, right? So we don't know what's going to happen with technology in the years to come. But I have to tell you, if you can use your iPhone to make a halfway decent type of a film, you can put it on YouTube, monetize it, you can make your money back, you can do all kinds of the most interesting things. So you have to get out there and do it. You can't sit on the couch because nothing's going to happen there.
That's such good advice. Yeah, I look back, I'm 35 and I look back and it's just like, oh man, I should have been doing this sooner. I'm only just now starting to finally do the things I want to do, and it's like,
Yeah.
So I would have the same advice, just go for it. Start when you're young.
I mean, obviously, if you don't have a cell phone, it's kind of hard to use a cell phone. We get these things, right? Obviously, what I'm saying is that technology exists, people exist to want to work with you, to do all kinds of incredible things, and utilize what's out there, utilize your friends, and see what you can't do together, either as a group, as a collaborative group, whatever it might be, whatever you want to call it. I get really tired, I'm going to vent if I may, I get really tired from people who tell me they can't because. Okay, great. You can't because you don't have legs. I get that. You can't because you're actually a zombie. I get that too, right? But if you say you can't because you don't have the time or whatever it might be, is it really that case? Is that an easy excuse? Because in today's society, when you try something and it doesn't work out, people like to criticize you. I get the same thing. God, do I ever? But I got to tell you, if you don't go out and try it, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And if you want something, please go for it. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give.
Absolutely. That's actually one of the things I used to tell my mentoring students when they would come to me like, oh, I would pitch to this magazine, but I'm too scared and stuff. It's like, well, either you pitch to it and you get accepted and it's wonderful, or you pitch to it and you get rejected and everything stays the same. It can't get worse for trying. It can only get better or stay the same. It can't get worse. So why are you not trying?
Right. If I could get to that, one of the things on Twitter, I talk to a lot of writers, and they like to say, when I get an agent, when I get a publisher, right? Okay, I'm sorry. I put my book up. I didn't have a publisher. I didn't have an agent. I created the book. I got an editor. I got a cover guy. Yeah, because I'm not a good, as you know, Lauren, I don't write very well, right?
You're more of an idea man, yes.
Right. Okay. And it's nice being an idea man. And obviously, I'm not going to create art because I'm not good at it, right? But I didn't need a gatekeeper to give me permission. I took permission. Same thing with the film. If it wasn't the fact that Jason Love and I wanted to make this movie, we made the movie. We made the documentary. We didn't have a mission. We got the equipment we needed to use it with. We got the resources we needed to have to talk logically about what's going on. And we made a movie. We put it on YouTube. We put it on Amazon Prime. It worked out really, really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's out there. People have seen it.
A lot of people have seen it.
Yeah.
And we still generate revenue on YouTube today because of it.
That's wonderful.
It's absolutely
very inspiring.
And the worst thing I can say, speaking of Amazon Prime can be a bit tricky to get all the bells and whistles going, right? But this helps. They have there's really good videos how to use it. They have a really good customer service, people you can talk to about issues, right? But the people out there who charge you money to utilize them to go and use Amazon Prime, sorry, you don't need a third party. You can do it yourself.
Yeah, you are just the master of getting your hustle on, You go out there and you get things done, like no matter what it takes, you go for it. And eventually it happens for you. You always follow through on your projects, no matter what they are.
We try. I mean, one of the things I need to do is I need to reestablish my selling skills, because if I want to do the second part of Frank, which is Frank Goes to Vegas, where we talk about his later part of his life, his involvement in Vegas scam, it's going to be $1,000, right? Which means I have to find people, individuals, or companies that might want to advertise in the book or sponsor the book, which means I got to pick up the phone and talk to people. I have to write the emails. These are things I have trouble with doing now because of my stroke voice, as I call it, right?
Right.
So I don't want to because I get scared. I have to overcome the fear.
Yeah. Well, you're very charming and you're very influential, and like once they get through the stroke voice, as you say, like people connect with you. They know they get where you're coming from. They get they're picking up what you're putting down.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, geez, you do everything. You even you've been rescuing stray cats and and a lot of your book sales, the money goes towards the trap neuter release efforts.
Right, and making sure they have food and things like that. We just identified a cat that probably had a litter of kittens recently. So what we'll be doing here is we identify where the litter is. We'll try to, once about 10 days, so 2 weeks or so, we'll try to know where they are so we can gather them up and take them to local humane society, right?
Right.
And let them take it from there. Sadly, we got involved because we don't want to see any animals starve or get hurt or be eaten by the coyotes, which are around here. Or heaven forbid, there are human beings that would take the opportunity to horrifically injure these animals. I mean, after all, they take the opportunity to horrifically injure their own children. So it's going to stop them from injuring a dog or a cat.
Right. Yeah. When I was living in the Valley, it's a part of Los Angeles, I was also involved in trap neuter release because there was just a ton of stray and feral cats in that area. And it was crazy. And it was buying food and bringing them in and trying to help as much as we could, my former roommate and I. Anyway, yeah, so if you buy Wayne Clingman's books, you'll be helping him and helping cats.
Which I greatly appreciate. In fact, we just released one called Mr. Biggs Talks Craps. So if you're interested in learning how to play the game of craps, I'll teach you. And you can do that by getting that book, which is on Amazon for 99 cents. Frank, I think, goes with $3.50 for the Kindle.
Yeah, there you go. If anyone's got a Vegas vacation planned and wants to know the hot tips and the secrets to success for the game of craps, 99 cents, there you go.
Right. And one thing that Frank will teach you is how to, let's say, get along well with your neighbors. He had a, let's say, bang-up way of doing it, an explosive way.
The Mad Bomber, yes.
The Mad Bomber, absolutely, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. See, I've been paying attention to yours.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, going back to the film festivals, if we can, I mean.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The first two I did bomb really badly, and I had to take full responsibility for those disasters, because even though we planned it as well as we could plan, we didn't do enough planning, we did not do enough research, or we would have discovered some things that only by going through the horrors did we realize how to properly run one, right? You can't rely on anyone but yourself is the main thing to take away from that. People will not come to your film festivals because you have a guest. We know, because we brought in some of the best people available, from Fred Roller to Lloyd Kaufman, and then enough people showed up to support the festival. That's probably the two biggest things we do, but people will show up for movies, and the secret of doing movies is using something like Film Freeway to create a site that people will trust to submit the films in, to be judged, and then be shown.
Yeah, you actually brought me in as sort of a helper judge for Indie Film Wisconsin Film Festival, and you've got a lot of submissions.
I do. I expect more. Yeah, I mean, first. Yeah,
like I've been going through them, and I still have more to go through.
Yeah. They're good films. I'm very happy with not only the amount of films I have, where they're from. I think that from every major continent in the world. I think they're from every continent in the world. I don't know if we have Africa yet or not, but I'd have to check. We might. It amazes me. We have everything from short films to feature films. We have a film in from Japan that a studio made. I mean, they put some real money in the film that they sent us. I'm really, truly, if I may say, I feel really honored to have people have that much trust in me that would send in their films to say, is this my film good enough to be shown? I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I've already seen a few amazing things, and yeah, they're coming from all over. I know that I saw a music video was submitted from Spain, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's been really good. I mean, just like anything else, some of them will be really, really good, and some of them, if I may be bold, will suck. Well, I'll say this much.
Yeah.
Give them all credit for picking up the camera and doing something.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'd love to communicate with all the people that we can't show and say, we can't show your film because whatever it might be. But I don't have the pool of people. And then communicating that only starts arguments, because if I send someone an email that says, we can't show your film because you said it's a 15-minute film and you only send us something lasting 3 minutes, that's the needs explanation. But if I say your film didn't meet our high standards, they're going to say, what do you mean by that? And all it's going to do is cause people upsetness. It's just better to say, sorry, we're not able to show your film at this time. Good luck next year.
Yeah, it's tough going through all of those. Like, I know that I'm just kind of like going through my primary function in the judging process is to kind of go through the horror, sci-fi, and fantasy submissions and make sure that they're genuine submissions, more or less. But I've also been, submitting my thoughts and my notes to kind of, let the higher up master judges know what I think as well. But
it's important that you do that. I mean, we value your opinion.
Yeah, and there were a few that were just like, ooh, we probably, it's a genuine submission, but we probably would be better off not going with this one.
Yeah.
But some of them have been fantastic, and I was really excited. And I've been, writing notes about the ones that I really like, so that I can talk about them after the film festival and after they've debuted there, and talk about them on horrorfam.com as well.
Absolutely. I can't thank you enough for doing that. It's a big, big, big help.
If anyone's interested, Indie Film Wisconsin Film Festival is happening in May, the first weekend of May.
Correct. 1st to the 3rd
of
May in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, at the Little Bakery Theater located in downtown Manitowoc, which I understand is close to the exit of the interstate. It's about an hour north of Milwaukee. It's a small, very, very friendly community. Absolutely. And I think sometime in late March, early April, we'll post the location pictures we have of the venue because it's undergoing some he's getting it out. Renovations, thank you.
Renovations, yes.
Yeah, shows how that's going on and some pictures around downtown. In fact, I'll be going up next weekend to talk to the owner of the building because we're going to be, as part of, it came from the sky, we're part of something called Sputnik Week because at one time, downtown Manitowoc was hit by a part of the Sputnik satellite the Soviets launched.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
I didn't know that either. And that's quite the thing. And we're thinking about, if it's possible, we're thinking about using that kind of a mythos to promote the show. We have our own Scully and Mulder walk around the streets of Manitowoc and asking people questions. It came from the sky. We could do that. The owner of the movie theater has a woods that he owns, which he says is really, really eerie. So that means we could do a Blair Witch thing easy enough, right? There's lots of things we could do. The question is, how many people up there are willing to help? How much time and resources do I have to throw at it? How can we all do to make everything the best that we can make it? Because I think, in my opinion, that there's nothing more fun for a community to do than have a film festival of some sort, show a bunch of movies that people would normally not be able to see, and have a weekend to enjoy them.
Yeah, that's going to be so much fun. It kind of sucks about the renovations right now because you can't get the pictures and everything, but once those renovations are done, that venue is going to look real nice.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to show that off and people are going to get excited.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a nice thing. I can't emphasize enough of how much the owner of the theater wants to accommodate what we're trying to do. He's a big, big supporter of the arts, which is nice to know. I mean, the guy wants to see more artistic things go on in Manitowoc. He wants to see people of all ages partake in them. He wants to make this as good as he can make it because obviously he makes money if people come in through his stores. If people come down to Manitowoc area, they'll spend money in the stores. It will help the community do better. It's a win-win for everybody.
You've done a lot for your community over the years. I'm always saying you, at least whether you're successful or not, you make the effort to help your community.
I do a lot of stuff for Racine, a lot of political stuff for Racine, because I see, as any community, Racine is an interesting place, and if we don't get involved in our community, then we really don't have the right to complain. We really can't see anything change if we're not willing to go out and help that change take place. Be it my wife's efforts with the cats that we have, the stray cats that we try to take care of. Is it my efforts when I try and do community gardens or start the one across the street? Or is it when I go downtown and I say, you can't take down the street lights, expect crime to go down? We have to help our communities the best way we know how, the best way we see fit. There's no doubt about that.
Yes. Well, going back to the film festivals, Indie Film Wisconsin Film Festival, it's a mouthful. It is an all genres film festival.
All genre, yep, absolutely. The 1st and 3rd of May. It's late deadline now. And you can find me if you go to Film Freeway and you can search it for Indie Film Wisconsin with Indie spelled IE. It's in the Y, which I love better, but it's the IE ending. Indie Film Wisconsin Film Festival. You'll find us in Film Freeway. You can find the entry fees there. You can find my email if you want to have a good idea to pitch me about why you should get some type of a break. I'm pretty easy. I'm pretty willing to give you a 50% discount because I can. If you need more or you want a fee waiver, I have to be able to justify that. I can see a 50% waiver. I can, but anything more than that, I need a good reason because it does cost money to hold it. It does. I pay for the site. Other things I have to pay for, the web page, obviously the Dropbox. I have to create files for the films, rent a laptop of some sort to show the film film through, all that costs money.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't really take that into
No.
consideration, just how much money of your own goes into these projects, just
Yes.
like with the film festivals that you're putting on, and then even horrorfam.com, like I wrote up our monthly Patreon update, and we've put in over $1,000 in this
Wow.
this website thus far.
Mhm.
and and we've made $15.
Yeah, it's
which was
expensive.
from you.
But the thing is that I think we as creative individuals need to do a better job to telling the public what it takes to create. And that way, at least when people do support us via Patreon or whatever else, take out an advertisement, they know what they're getting. I know I'm a big podcast consumer, and I can listen all day and all night free podcasts. I can listen from now to the day I die and never have to pay for a podcast. But there's some podcasts I'm more than willing to do a Patreon for, right? Because the content they provide costs them resources to do, or they're an expert in that field. And I'm more than willing to support that.
Yeah, I mean, you had a podcast for years until your voice went a little wonky, and I know that you put plenty of money into running those shows.
I have to tell you that Any Film Wisconsin, the podcast Any Film Wisconsin, and Blog Talk Radio ran for almost 11 years.
Yeah.
And it cost a bit of change, but I got to meet some wonderful people like yourself and others. I learned a great deal. And when I've been able to do my mafia-oriented podcast, God, have I learned a lot. There's a lot of interesting history of America around the idea of the mafia and organized crime and true crime. But going back to film, even the history of film in this country is something most people don't understand the background of it, all the weird things going on with it. Even from, not only do we have it today with Epstein, and I can't think of the guy that's got convicted and spent the rest of his life in prison. I can't help me out here. What's his name?
Weinstein?
Yes. Are not even close to what happened in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. Which of course got people to think, hey, if my uncle was able to do this, then I can do this too. When you think that the directors today who are insisting that stars sleep with them and nobody's picking up that phone to call the cops is amazing that they can get away with it, but yet they do. When you find out that films might be paying reviewers money to give them reviews, well, that's nothing more than what Peyote did in the 50s and 60s with music. That stuff went on then, it goes on today.
Oh yeah, I mean, the good old days weren't always good.
No, not always good. And we can't do anything about it if we don't discuss it. If we don't know about it, there's nothing we can do about it. We don't know what's standard, what's normal, what's not normal, what the standards might be. And the fact of the matter is that today, tomorrow, next week, there'll be somebody getting off a bus in LA from some god-awful known small town someplace, thinking that she'll be the next star in Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Well, that was kind of a bummer, but speaking of old movies, the history of movies and old movies, my dad and I on the last podcast were talking about our favorite movies from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and then next time we're going to go from the 60s up to now.
Yay.
Yeah, and I think there's probably going to be plenty of Hammer films on my dad's list, so
Yep.
I figured that you'd be excited about that since I know you're a huge Hammer film fan as well.
Hammer films gave me all my fetishes, with no doubt about it. And you can't, in my opinion, you can't beat a good Hammer film. If I never see another gore fest, I'll be too soon. But give me a good Hammer style film, I'm absolutely in love with them. There's a lot to say about the plot. There's a lot to say about scenery, absolutely a lot to say about scenery. The idea that they use plot and acting to drive across points, they didn't have to use a bucket of blood every time you turn around. I think it takes far more skill to do something based on plot than it does to base it on gore.
Yeah. I like some gory movies. Like, a lot of them are pretty fun. Like, one of my picks from the 1990s, spoilers for people who listen to the episode in the future, but I picked Dead Alive, and I spoke about it on the first podcast as well, and that movie is incredibly bloody.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Cronenberg comes some interesting bloody films too.
Oh yeah. I mean, you wrote a book on body horror, so
I did indeed.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that you've seen a Cronenberg film or two in your time.
Absolutely, but again, it's all plot. I like the first. Oh, my mind's blanking out. The first torture porn film, whose name I just can't think of. They kidnapped people in Europe.
Kidnapped people in
In
Europe?
yeah, they get killed. Yeah,
Oh.
always kidnapped. The first one was men. The second one was women. I think this is the third one in the series. I can't think of it. Like, so here's let's switch topics. Serbian war film, I think it's called, right? That's a gory film. This might be a very, very good horror film, but it's also full of gore, and that's a little bit too much gore for me.
Yeah.
But again, you have scary films too. Are you familiar with The Witchfinder General?
The what?
The Witchfinder General with Vincent Price.
Oh, I know of it, but I don't think I've seen it. If I have, then it's been a long time.
Oh, I mean, the last part of the film is kind of intense and there's a little bit of blood, but I wouldn't call it gore, but will definitely wake you up and make you think. Yeah, I mean, I love that film for fun. I tell people to watch. Have you familiar with a film called Flesh and Blood with Rutger Howard?
With
Rutger Howard?
No.
Yeah, that's again, it's a very, very intense film that would make you think. It's kind of, you can call it borderline drama or borderline horror. It's again a very intense film, but there's so many good ones out there. Really, truly. I mean, the first version of The Hills Have Eyes is a very interesting film. The remake, not so much. But again, that's my opinion. But I do like a good plot-driven film, and I found that Hammer Films had a lot of them, and they also had the most beautiful actresses in the world.
Yeah, my husband Frank is actually just starting to get into the Hammer horror films, and he's been watching all the Christopher Lee Dracula movies, and
right.
Yeah, he watched all the Universal Monster movies, and now he's watching the Hammer films, and
yeah. I mean,
he's been having a blast.
Yeah, I mean, the horror universe of the time period between 1930 and 1980 was filled with the most interesting actors, interesting directors and producers. You know, you had everybody, Ed Wood, who was kind of not quite with us, who made up some really good, interesting films, including Plan 9 from Outer Space, which he got the money from going to churches to get them to invest in the movie, believe it or not, right?
Right.
You had, I can't think, the first Dracula, I can't think of the guy's name. Who played the first Dracula? Not Boris Karloff.
Bela Lugosi.
Right, who was a hero in that, you know?
Right, yes.
You know, and
that actually comes up in the Tim Burton movie about Ed Wood.
Absolutely. You know, absolutely. I mean,
with Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi.
Yep. Yeah. And the interesting thing is, because then you have the case, it's a real life story, that when Bela Lugosi was on his last legs, had no money to rub together, right? And needed money, needed work to feed himself and his wife, right? Who comes along to help him but Ed Wood, who has his own problems. Yeah. I think that's a wonderful story to tell.
It is. I really like that movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's uplifting.
It is. It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. I mean, all of them are fun movies. I mean, Jan Walters comes up with some fun movies to watch, too. I mean, there's all kinds of really good filmmakers who made really interesting films for people like you and I and others to enjoy.
Yeah, one of my favorite filmmakers is William Castle.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at a horror film as enjoyment, and you want to learn about what they did and the day to get people to come to their films, William Castle is a good person to study.
Yes. He knew his way around a gimmick.
Yeah, and it's a gimmick. I mean, it is a gimmick. I mean, if we do say the X-Files take off, right?
Right.
And we get people walk up to people up and down Montauk and ask them silly questions about things that don't exist. It's a gimmick, right? Well, people get the gimmick and be excited to come. We hope. The same thing we do with Blair Witch. I mean, the Blair Witch, we're going to have a young lady dressed as a crazy-looking witch, right, who's going to go up and down the streets and talk to people about crazy stuff. And it's a gimmick. It's absolutely a gimmick. You know, will it be entertaining enough to get people to come to the show and watch a couple of films? I'm hoping.
I hope so, too.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it is. I mean, if I'm a fat old man, but if I can somehow for a weekend or for an hour or 2 hours have someone come in and watch a block of films and leave and say, that was a nice time, I really enjoyed that, that will make my day. If I inspire someone enough to then say, God, I've seen this film, I can do that too. I can make a better film than that, or whatever it might be. I've come away a winner, you know, and I think those are important things.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, even like watching a bad film, it's like, oh, I could do better than that, and then that inspires somebody to do better than that.
Absolutely. If he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
I've watched films I'm sure have seen enough films. Right? Think if given the opportunity to make a movie, I would do this and that differently, or that was a good idea. I would want to do something like it. And you get that with indie films. I was in a movie called Bowl of Sunshine, and where I played a singing drunk, and the movie was about a guy that bought killer sea monkeys. The kinds you get as a kid that you put in water.
Yes, my
right?
mom had those when I was like a teenager, younger 20s. She had like a tank full of sea monkeys.
Yeah, absolutely. Boastful Happiness was called, right? That's a unique plot. That's a unique plot. That the craziest plot of all is a bowl full of sea monkeys that are eating people. It was fun. It was fun. I think the guy made it for less than $100.
You were like billed as drunk on the floor in that one, right?
Melon Bowl of Sunshine, where I wore a shirt that did not fit, and they gave me an empty bottle of beer, and I sung a song on camera to my missing wife with the sea monkeys of pain. It was fun. It took me 15, 20 minutes. I mean, I've done everything from acting. I'm a horrible actor. Everything from acting to sweeping the floor, picking people up, taking people on set, helping sweep up after, helping get the place open before, all those things in a set, no matter what you do to help a production go forward, in my opinion, are all equally important, because you can't make a film without an actor or without people behind the camera or the guy who's willing to run to get coffee or make sure the different parts of the set get put back to where they belong. All that stuff's important.
It is. And I think that you're pretty much the perfect person to be running film festivals, because you've seen pretty much every side of indie filmmaking, in front of the camera, behind the camera, way behind the camera.
Way behind the camera, down the street from it, hiding away from the camera, yeah.
Yeah.
It all started because I read a newspaper article about how they're going to shut down the state of Wisconsin's film office, which they went ahead and did. And I decided we could do something about that. And a couple of weeks later, we had the first meeting of something would become Film Wisconsin that would successfully go and create our own film credits for a while. And during that period of time, we brought a film to Wisconsin called Public Enemy with Johnny Depp. And that led me to meet all kinds of other people involved in film, got me interested in doing my first film festivals that didn't turn out too well, but taught me a lot, made me want to do a more and a better job. So when these opportunities came to do a film festival last year in Watertown, I jumped at the chance.
That's wonderful. And the Indie Film Wisconsin Film Festival, it's happening in May. It's an all-genre festival, and you're still taking submissions
Absolutely.
for a little bit longer.
Another month. The Film Freeway is by far the easiest way to find, because all the entry information will be there, and the portal to submit your film will be there.
You actually created a promo code for horrorfam.com readers and listeners to submit their own films,
right,
as sort of an incentive and encouragement to get our people to submit their own creations. And that was HorrorFam1, so HORFAM, the number 1, and that gets them 60% off the price of submission.
I believe so, 50-60%, which is, I think, substantial.
It's very substantial.
Especially now that we're late deadline. So, that price break will really help a lot. Yeah, but please go to Lauren's webpage, which is Horror Family, and check it out. And our information is there. Can I give my email contact, my Twitter, please?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. If you want to contact me by email, my email is, and I'll say this a couple of times slow, is WCLINGMAN@wi.rr.com. Again, that would be WCLINGMAN@wi.rr.com. I live on Twitter. Best Twitter handle to get a hold of me at is @TheMilwaukeeMob. Again, I'd be @the Milwaukee Mob, and I talk about mafia and stuff like that. But you can get a hold of me there. I live on Twitter. Though Twitter is really funky anymore. It likes to say my accounts are doing suspicious activities. I don't get what that's about. But I guess there's enough problems they have out there between bots and people trying to hack accounts that they want to take precautions when they can.
I guess, yeah, but you are on Twitter pretty much all day, every day.
Yep.
Even though we haven't spoken with our voices in a long time, we speak pretty much every day on Twitter.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Twitter's great. I mean, there's a lot of interesting people you can meet on Twitter. I met all kinds of people. I find most of my guests on my podcast via Twitter. I've gotten to know really interesting people because of Twitter. I've been able to get people from South America, to include people that worked on Narcos, on my podcast for the Walking Up. Because of Twitter, I got to speak with some of the experts when it came to the drug wars and the cartel violence in Mexico. Because of Twitter, I was able to speak with Lance, I can't take people's names for that, I apologize. The guy behind The Last Broadcast, which is the most scariest horror film without blood I've ever seen in my life.
That's intriguing.
Yeah. It's found footage. It predates Blair Witch. It's damn good.
Oh, speaking of horror films, we talked about Indie Film Wisconsin Film Festival, but we still haven't spoken too much about It Came from the Sky.
Right.
Whereas Indie Film Wisconsin Film Festival is an all genres festival. It Came from the Sky is Wayne's horror
science
and
fiction,
horror.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're looking for films. We're looking for films with the idea that plot versus gore. You know, if you're looking at Hammer type films, One Castle type films, are what
sort
we're
of
looking for.
More classic horror films.
Right, classic
and
horror
sci-fi films, yeah.
Right, yeah. Then
sort of like 1950s Blob versus 1988 Blob.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. And then we're looking for, it is the weekend of the September the 12th,
yes,
which is my birthday.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, it'd be up in Montauk, the same theater. It's going to be a fun time. I mean, again, I like the fact that the city of Montauk has a direct link to Sputnik. I think that's very nice. I think that's one of the reasons why the community is very responsive to It Came from the Sky, is because they get the power of science fiction, right? Nearby Montauk is a spaceport. Wisconsin has one of the few states with a space authority. I thought at one time the idea was going to try to get NASA and other companies such as Tesla to come to the state to do things at the spaceport because manufacturing jobs and the like. Yeah, it's the dates are the 11th, 12th, and 13th of September. Yeah, a lot of time going in for that one. Early bird entry this ended, so we're in the regular deadline now, which has some ways to go. And you can find that again in Film Freeway with It Came from the Sky Film Festival.
And you can tell Wayne really cares about this one because he scheduled himself to do a whole bunch of work for it for his birthday.
Yeah. I mean, it's my birthday present to me. It'd be fun. I mean, I like campy horror. I mean, I like campy sci-fi. You know, I like Fantastic Planet to me is a perfect science fiction film. You know, it's like Outer Limits was the perfect science fiction TV show.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Xanthi Misfits, of course. I was familiar with that from a young age, but I didn't really watch too much of the other episodes of The Outer Limits until I was older, but it's a fun show.
It's a fun show. I mean, Outer Limits, X-Files to me is classic. The Night Stalker.
I caught up with the X-Files in my 20s. It was on when I was a small child, and then I ended up catching up with it in my 20s, and it was nice though because by that time it had ended, and so I was able to just watch all the seasons at once.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I mean, X-Files was fun. I mean, one of the things I didn't realize is all the really weird X-Files takes place in the state of Wisconsin. That's kind of interesting. The X-File episode where they meet the crazy inbred family in Pennsylvania only aired once.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I went to a paranormal convention. I'm sorry?
Home, right?
Right, yeah, I think. Yeah,
with the Peacock family or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know. That's X-Files. I think X-Files is really a good, to me, TV show. It's like The Night Stalker was a really, really good TV show, and I think in some ways better than the X-Files. It's really nice to see those films. That's like, I think Friday the 13th was an interesting TV show. Kind of nice. I mean, the half-an-hour shows like The Twilight Zone, Night Gallery were good ones, too. I mean, there's a lot of good horror and science fiction. There's a lot of good authors which are relevant today. I think Lovecraft is a fantastically interesting author in so many ways.
Yeah, a lot of the time I like his ideas more than his actual writing, though.
Yeah. Well, he wrote 1920s. I got an argument the other day on Twitter, of course, with somebody saying he can't be read because he writes racist. Okay, yeah, he wrote in 1920s. It's a different time. It's 100 years ago, right?
Right. That's not the problem I have with it for me, because, you know, I understand it was a different time. It's like, okay, you know, even the old Nancy Drew books before they were, you know, when they were first coming out in the 30s had stuff that would be leaving people with their mouths hanging open today, but and that's a kid's book, like Nancy Drew. But yeah, for me, Lovecraft, it's like, oh man, this guy must be getting paid by the word. He's using a lot of sentences to say something very simple.
Right. Especially the word count.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I like Lovecraft. Have you seen the new Nancy Drew TV show?
The new one?
Yeah.
No. Have you?
Yeah, it's on CW. Yeah. I could go on that lecture very, very easily. I'll resist. I will resist.
I saw the most recent movie version that had the girl from It in it, and it wasn't bad. I mean, it was a modern update of it, but she still, she was doing the things that she would do in the older books, where she kind of had a disregard for the law.
Yeah. Shows those too. Well, might be it Nancy Drew or the other shows on CW network, other than Supernatural, it hasn't done it so much, is they seem to want to be woke. And in my opinion, when your politics is what drives the show plot, it's like, why am I watching this?
Yeah, it's like, just can we turn that off for just a little bit and just be entertained?
Right. What's really troubling is when I discovered the Doctor Who and they started to rewrite history, and I was very, very disappointed in that, because of all the shows I thought would try to rewrite history for the point of me being woke, I didn't expect it from Doctor Who. It was very, very sad, because what happens is that kids watch Doctor Who. They do. And the kids are going to sit there and say, we'll read the real life history, what happened, and they'll see the Doctor Who and they'll sit and say, why am I watching this show for? Because, which is too bad, because they won't stick around to enjoy it. But again, that's neither here nor there. I apologize for getting off topic so badly with that, but as you can tell, it's a sensitive one to me.
Yes. Oh man, we keep getting off on bummer tangents.
Well, that's not a bummer. I mean, it's part of the thing. I mean, I could easily, one of the things we're going to do at both film festivals, are we're going to talk about the status of the film credits in the state of Wisconsin. And what that has to do with film festivals is that if we get credits again, we would have some amount of productions come back. There's no doubt about that one, right? But the question is, to make them happen, going back to being active in your community, it means that people have to do it. And the idea is, are there enough people with the time to spare, the resources to donate, to write their congressman, write the state senators, I should say, the state assemblymen, the governor, and say, this is what we want, this is what we want, and this is how we can make this happen. Because if all they can do is sit in Starbucks and complain, nothing at all is going to happen. Because it's the people who take the time to write the letters, make the phone calls, go to meetings, that make things happen. As if you go to the meeting because somebody wants to do a remake of Dracula and they're looking for crew help, you need help, that's great, because that makes that project more likely to take place. Because it takes a lot of people to make a successful film.
Yes, there's a lot of components involved. Yeah,
absolutely. And the nice thing about film festivals, it helps people learn those components.
Yes.
And one of the things we might do, depending on, again, the resources we might have, is we're debating asking a director who's somewhat familiar with the state of Wisconsin, to come to It Came From the Sky to talk about the importance of the film industry and how little towns can utilize the film industry to help revitalize them. And he has a great case study for the work he's done in upstate New York. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's done a lot of fun films, and I can't give you his name, but he's done a lot of fun science fiction, horror, and late night HBO show. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Oh, and you have sort of a co-showrunner for
Jason Love. Absolutely.
It Came From the Sky. Yes.
Jason Love. Yeah.
Shout out to Jason.
Like Jason, he's doing his own. He's doing an animation film festival in Racine the weekend before mine in May, and his will be in downtown Racine. I wish I can't give you the details. I don't know them offhand. I can't think of his webpage. I apologize, but I will go. I'll let you know, Lauren, if you could post it someplace on the webpage.
Sure, so I'll put it in the show notes.
Thank you. And again, I can't say enough good things about Jason. He was my partner when it came to my documentary on Frank.
Yes.
He is a great, great human being. He does a lot for the community. He does a lot for school children.
Was he was a former magician, right?
Yes, former magician.
Nice.
Yeah.
My husband and I were married by a former magician.
Really?
Yeah, he was a magician who became a preacher.
Look, that's cool. That's interesting. Yeah, it's just so many things that film can do. I can't thank the film industry and film itself for adding so much enjoyment and pleasure to my life, because I would never I did my documentary on Frank, which led to my book on Frank. So I led to one thing after another to another. If it wasn't the fact that I seen stuff on YouTube and thought, this kind of a documentary would work out well, and this is a good, compelling story.
Yeah, I didn't even know Milwaukee had a mob until you started writing about it.
Yeah, in fact, you were
using the Freedom of Information Act and everything, getting all kinds of information about the history of the Milwaukee mob.
and the links that has to the mafia skim operation in Vegas, which leads to obviously the casino. If everybody else out there read the book Casino or seen the film Casino, you remember Frank Rosenwald gets blown up in his car. Some people say that Frank the Mad Bomber had something to do with that, but it's all kinds of interesting. I mean, they stole billions of dollars from those casinos. People died. I mean, I made a movie, wrote the book. I hope that we did a good job of saying, it might be interesting to know they stole this money. It might be interesting to know that, hey, they were kind of crooked and they just said that they did. But the fact of the matter is that Frank had people killed. And we can debate, should they have died or not, but they are this is dead. And unlike TV shows like VH1's show called The Cartel Crew, in no way, shape, manner, or form do I want to romanticize the mafia to the point where somebody out there believes that I think they're so cool, I want to be a mafia also. I know better. And even though I act as Mr. Big and there's a difference between between a persona, right, trying to promote books and the like, and somebody that sits there and say, let's go and rob a liquor store.
Yeah. There's a big difference there.
Yeah. It's like in doing a horror film.
That's just like, dressing up as like a serial killer clown for Halloween and then actually going out and murdering people.
Going back to their horror films, we all know them, right? I mean, we can name horror films all day or all night.
Oh, yeah.
But horror films don't come close to what people have historically done.
That's true.
And if you read Dark Minds, Bloody Hands, you will meet some of them. And,
your book on serial killers.
Yep.
Yeah, because people are always asking me like, what horror movies scare you? It's like, horror movies don't scare me. Real life scares me.
Yeah. I mean, next door to where I live, we had a guy went drinking with his friend. Him and his friend got drunk. They came back to his apartment again, next door to where I live, and the home next door to where I live. And they got drinking, and they had a fight. So the one guy picked up a hammer, killed his friend, chopped up his body, put it in garbage bags, put it in a vehicle he stole, drove that vehicle to the north side of town. Right? And that's where that guy was found. This happened within 50 feet of where I'm sitting talking to you now.
Was this... I'm sorry, that's a horrible story, but it sounds really familiar. And my husband is always watching Forensic Files as like his bedtime show. And it's like, wait, was that on that show? That sounds really familiar. Or is there just so many horrible similar things that...
I don't know if it made it to the Forensic File or not. I will tell you this, that my kids were all younger then, still in high school. So they opened up the door to go to school, and there is the Racine Police Department with a scene out of CSI, with every little dread spot having a little tiny flag next to it, right? Taking pictures of it, the yellow tape up, the dragging stuff out of this guy's room, out of the guy's apartment. They had the bloody hammer they killed, the man killed his friend with, right?
Yeah.
And it puts it firmly in your face. I mean, I live in a home where on a nightly basis I hear gunfire, right?
Right. You live in a historical house. It's 115 years old, maybe 116 this year.
Something like that, yeah.
And, it's pretty much like a historical landmark, but it's in a really terrible neighborhood.
But that's cities. That's what happens. It doesn't take away from the home. We love our home. I mean, we love our home a lot, and we're trying to do what we can do to make it the best thing we can. It's like the cats. We try to do what we can do for them and anything around here. But again, the fact of the matter is that real life is full of more horrors than any film, well, most films could be. I mean, I'm sure there are films out there that make real life look weird, but yeah, you get the point. And the idea is, again, there's a lot of good, interesting stories out there that deserve to be told in the medium of film.
Yes.
And you can use horror films to educate people.
Yeah, you can. Or or to just entertain them. That's valuable too.
It is true. I mean, there's nothing wrong with entertainment. Not at all. I mean, not all films need to beat you over the head with a message. In fact, I really don't like films that beat me over the head with a message. Unless I'm going to see a film that I know in advance has a message that's going to beat me over the head with it. I don't want to go to see a show about, say, UFOs and have Greta show up somehow teaching me about global warming. Because I'm sorry, I want to be scared by the aliens from outer space, not scared by a 16-year-old with Ellsberg.
Yeah, well.
Is that? I mean, you get the whole Elsa, SS movies, which are kind of horror, kind of definitely in the line of horror. Maybe Nazi exploitation, but definitely horror. There's not a lot of fun in those films. I mean, there's jiggly bits and things like that. But yeah, the horror, in my opinion, the whole horror films. I mean, Stalag, I think it was Stalag 7. There's one shot in the 60s about the German Blizzard War camp, a group of people in New York State did a film called Stalag, whatever number it was. It was a horror film. I mean, they chopped people up in the basement of a concentration camp. It's a very, very horrible film, but it's based in real life. Those things happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it all depends what we want to take away from it. It's like one of the things I did, if I may, and I know I've been ranting for some time. I apologize.
Oh, no, don't apologize. I asked our followers on Twitter, like, hey, do you prefer short podcasts or long ones? And they're like, the longer, the better. So
one of the things horror or science fiction can do is they can motivate people to learn. I mean, the science fiction stories that, let's say, Tesla, based on Tesla's life, I think we can demonstrate that people will want to read about him, maybe be an engineer, maybe become a computer programmer, maybe become a scientist of some type, right?
It sparks their curiosity.
Right. But, I mean, I know in my own case when it was, I think it was the X-Files when they talked about the Monbach Project in New York. I didn't know much about it. I knew the X-Files only covered it a little bit. So I had to go to the library and get books. And what I thought was going to be a quick read about a small incident became months of reading about what was going on in New York State during the Second World War and shortly thereafter, right? What was going on, really truly was going on, and people making up something to get tourism to show up. Now, all that is very, very interesting. Same thing with the X-Files when they talked about Operation Paperclip. Yeah, it happened. I mean, we imported into the United States Nazi war criminals because we didn't want the Russians to get them. And the Russians did the same thing. They imported Nazi war criminals because they didn't want us to get them. But the most perfect thing of all is Japan had a unit called 731, which was a chemical biological warfare unit. This unit captured Americans, British, Chinese prisoners, and civilians and subjected them to the most horrific medical experiments that would make the Nazis blush. And at the end of the war, when we caught them all, we did not find the nearest tree to hang them from. No, we brought them back to America and said, do the best. We need your skills, which I think is true horror.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Can you imagine being some guy that barely survived from a Japanese prisoner of war camp? Maybe they've been tortured by these idiots for a while to find out 10 years later, yeah, they were hung. We're using them in Hawaii. We're helping us build more chemical weapons. How would that make you feel?
Not good.
Yeah, not good. Yeah, and their own thing, talking about, there's a show on Science Channel, which was an hour show, where they talked about little weird things. And I can't think of the name of it. I don't think it's on Science Channel anymore, but it was really good. They talked about a soybean experiment. The guy thought he was working on a chemical to help soybeans grow. Instead, they took his research and they modified it to something that would kill crops. It was called, when they used it, called Agent Orange.
I know about Agent Orange, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I found out about that because of soybeans, because I'm allergic to soybeans, and so I've done like a lot of reading about soybeans and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
And then that was just one of the things I stumbled across, and I went down that rabbit hole.
Absolutely, they're rabbit holes. They're horrible rabbit holes. I mean, I used to be a big UFO buff. Not so much anymore. I like John Keel a lot. I think I still have his books that make interesting reading. But the whole idea that time and again, in my opinion, I have found that people who go real hardcore into the UFO world go down a rabbit hole that leaves them not quite sane.
That does seem to be a theme, yes.
Yeah, it does seem to be a theme. And the question I have is what makes them that way? And there's a good podcast I really enjoy listening to, which I do know what to name, because I know the people who, he's been on my podcast a couple of times. He's a great guy. He knows a lot of stuff. But it's like I've had to sit there and say, Guy, I love you like a brother, but I think you need to back off the UFO type stuff because you need to get a breath of fresh air. Because what is it that makes it? There's a guy, he's a French guy, Jacques, last name starts with a V. I'm so bad with names, I'm only trying to pronounce it. But if you Google French UFO researchers, it'd be Jack something. He's a not only is he he's a computer. He made his money from doing computers, but he wrote a good book about Men in Black. He traces some of the more interesting Men in Black incidents. He comes across the amount of money that some of these things had to spend to make the Men in Black happen, to include fake companies, fake buildings that have created something to be deserted shortly thereafter, which cost someone millions. And the question he asks is why? Why would somebody spend so much money? What guy would, what company would, what group would to create the Men in Black experience that makes people look nuts? Good question. I have no idea.
I have no idea either. I did have fun watching the movie with Will Smith.
Yeah. Different between the movie. It's like Signs, right? Did you watch Signs with Mel Gibson?
Yeah, I did. It's been a while.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting, fun UFO type stuff. UFOs are a fascinating thing. They really fast because now we've had cell phones and everything else for the last 20 years?
Oh, at least, yeah.
Yeah. So
my mom got her first cell phone in 1995.
Yeah. So why haven't?
That's a long time now.
It has been a while. So people have seen different things you'd think they'd be on the cell phone, but I don't know whether or not. Who knows? I don't. There's so much we don't know. There's so much that we don't know. Have you heard of Beast of Bray Road?
Oh, of what?
The Beast of Bray Road?
No.
The Beast of Bray Road is a cryptid that is seen near a city called Elkhorn, Wisconsin. I live about.
Of course, it's in Wisconsin.
It has to be, right? I live about 40 miles from Elkhorn. My wife and I have driven down Bray Road. Bray Road at one time might have been really a country road, right? They're out there. Right now, Bray Road is built up. Houses on both sides of the road, all the way up, all the way down is a short drive, right? Yet people want to tell me they see the Beast of Bray Road in the country and Bray Road. Sorry, they can't be. It doesn't exist as it did 20 years ago. But it is what it is. Here you go. If you next time you're bored, Google Burlington, Wisconsin, weird, and start reading about all the crazy things that happened in Burlington.
You're trying to get me to stay up until 3 a.m, aren't you?
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we had our own Mormon sect, our own sect of Latter-day Saint Church that became parts in Lake Michigan. That's pretty weird. They found their own gold tablets. That's kind of sort of weird. There's something called the Vortex. I've been promised by others to take me to see it. That's kind of strange. We believe that Al Capone may have had storage for his illegal liquor in Burlington area to ship into Milwaukee, ship in Chicago. That's kind of sort of interesting. I mean, life is full. Our country is full. Your hometown is full of all kinds of crazy, incredible things that we take the opportunity to learn about them.
Yeah, that's true. I learn something new every day.
You had lived at one time in an area of town in LA that was had a flood or something.
Oh yes, the Locker Center flood. What's it? Woody Guthrie wrote a song about it.
There you go. See?
Yeah. I think most of our sort of spooky things for Los Angeles are ghost related.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a lot of spooky ghosts out there because, again, LA is full of interesting history.
Yeah, the Hollywood Hills and whatnot.
Yeah, well, you have Laurel Canyon, right? Which the Manson family lived near, right?
Yep.
That's the weirdest people lived out in the Laurel Canyon, by far. In fact, you heard some of the people up that way, they're pretty sane.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I said there are incidents that happen near that canyon that makes the Manson family look sane.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, we, I don't want to get too specific about the area where we live, but there's a road sort of near us where people are they dump bodies there fairly often, and apparently people who drive on that road at night see ghosts fairly often.
Yeah.
Just kind of up in the mountain area.
Yeah, it's interesting what's all around here. I mean, here we have our own incidents. Supposedly this place is haunted, that place is haunted. I don't know, but but we don't know what we don't know. But it's always nice to find out what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting. Oh man, I don't know about you, but I'm getting sleepy.
Well, absolutely.
Not because of you. You have been absolutely fascinating, but I got 4 hours of sleep, and I'm starting to spark out.
I hear that. Yeah. We finished one
And
project
I know it's even later for you.
It is. We just finished one project last night, which is, Mr. Big Pox Craps, but which you can find on Amazon. But and that
Oh yes.
well, you're helpful for that too, by the way. I appreciate it. So anyway, I really appreciate you having me on your show with my weird starting voice. It means a lot. I appreciate being able to give my emails out for people to contact me and talk to me on Twitter. I appreciate the fact that you allowed me to place advertisements on your webpage to promote my film festivals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's going to be great. It's going to be great for your community and for the people who get to attend and the people who have submitted things and get to see their films debut at a real festival. It's going to be a lot of fun. Both of your festivals, Indie Film Wisconsin Film Festival, it came from the Sky Film Festival, and then also, check out Wayne Clingman on Amazon. He's got several books, just all different topics. He's got his newest book, which is Mr. Big Talks Craps, which is about how to play craps, the game. And you've also got Bones Beneath the Pale, which is the Lovecraft body horror.
Nazi and Sex.
Yeah, Nazi and Sex book. And then you've got like your Mr. Big erotic series.
Yeah.
And then you've got Narco Saints. And then you've got several mafia history books. And
but we have another one coming out this month. Yeah, it's just a time to be alive. It's just a time to see what's out there. And anybody can do Amazon. Anybody can do these things. And if people have questions, I want to encourage them to please communicate with me and help you in any way that I might be able to do so.
Absolutely. Reach out to Wayne. He's a lot of fun. Just be patient with his typing because he has a lot of typos.
I do. I can't get the cat to type for me no more. She's done.
You've got great ideas. You're a decent writer. It's just you don't know how to spell.
I don't know how to spell. My grammar sucks. We could go into that another day. But thank you so much for letting me be on your show. It's been a high honor. And the world didn't end either, which is really impressive.
What's that?
I said the world did not end either, which is always nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, one more thing, since when the show's coming out is going to be our werewolf week on horrorfam.com, and I was wondering, do you have any favorite werewolf movies or books? Or
well, we do like the classic Lon Chaney werewolf stories and film. I mean, they're really classic and they're very sad. I find them more modern. I think it's called War Dogs. Is it about the group of British soldiers in Wales that have the unfortunate pleasure of running into some werewolves?
Oh, wait, Dog Soldiers?
Dog Soldiers, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting story to say the least. Again, very sad, but then all the werewolf stories, I find them sad. Those are by far the werewolf stories I do enjoy.
I do enjoy them too.
My dog's not. I'm sorry?
Oh, just, do you want to give a shout out to your favorite Hammer movie, or?
My favorite Hammer film must be Dracula Has Risen from the Grave.
There you go. Very nice.
Very nice. And I want to give major kudos shout outs to it. I don't know offhand this is a Hammer film or not, but Vampire Lesbos.
Which one?
Vampire Lesbos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good films. All right, then. Well, thank you again for letting me be in your show. It means a lot to me. And I wish you all success in the world with this website and this idea that you have here in the podcast.
Thank you very much, Wayne. It was great to have you on, and it was good to hear your voice and sort of your brief comeback to podcasting, this time on the other end of the interview.
Absolutely.
And maybe you can come back on when it's getting closer to the It Came From the Sky and update everyone on how that's going.
I'd be more than happy to.
And yeah, if anyone wants to talk to Wayne, you can email him at wklingman@wi.rr.com, and you can follow him on Twitter at the Milwaukee Mob.
Very good. Thanks again, ma'am. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.